in the frame. Within the frame, it looks professional. The rest of the setup is just, it's trying its hardest.
That's right. Smoke and mirrors is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as you know, everyone, we're here to get up close and personal with entertaining and fascinating folks in Canada, people who are working in their areas, in their professions to do something really interesting and awesome, and also to move the cause of social justice, of gender equality, of all the forms of equity. So, of course, our guest here today is really part of that, and we're so excited to have her here. Maitreyi, she was born and raised in Mississauga, Ontario. Shout out to Mississauga. She began acting in school plays in grade 10 and made the decision to pursue acting in her final year of high school. And less than 12 months later, she responded to an open casting call and landed the lead role in the Netflix comedy series Never Have I Ever. You might have heard of that, so a little show that just kind of blew up the world for us. It was released on April 27th of this year. It's so much celebration and excitement. I binged it in a few days. I know that some of my colleagues also have identified being big fangirls. So I can see why people are so enthusiastic. It was wonderful. And it was great to hear that it was just renewed for a second season as well.
Like,
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So you, Maitreyi, have been known as a groundbreaker. That's what you've been called, which is such an awesome and honest thing to say because you really gave a breakout performance. And we're thinking about a lot of things related to just what it means to honor representation, tell diverse stories. And we know that we're in this situation now, we're in a pandemic within pandemics where people are again challenging things like systemic racism in many areas of life in Canada, specifically addressing anti-Black racism and anti-Indigenous racism in this country, and looking to break down the structures that maintain this racism. It's not just a one-on-one thing. Yeah. And we're really reminded again about the life-changing importance of representation. So again, thank you for joining us. And we are going to get into it, but before we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping and reminders. Today, we're asking you folks to donate to the Canadian Women's Foundation Tireless Together Fund. It's an emergency support fund for women and girls in the pandemic. The pandemic has had a really big impact on women, and it has a gendered impact in particular that we can't forget. And we want to make sure that programs and supports for women and girls have the capacity to continue on in every province and territory of Canada. So just click on the link below. There's a donate button there. And you can also go to canadianwomen.org if you would like to donate at this time. And many thanks to you. Every dollar counts. Every little bit helps. And if we get cut off in the middle of this thing, we've had these technical issues, of course, it's Facebook, it's Zoom, they're interacting with each other. If anything happens and we get cut off, you just hang in there. We're in this together and we'll come right back. So yeah, well, pray to the tech gods that this will work. And so far it's looking good. And I also want to remind you as well, don't click on any links that are not from the Canadian Women's Foundation or the donate button below. Sometimes weird things happen. People do some shady things. Just want to make sure that you are safe. And again, we're in it together. So welcome to our guests. And we're just going to get into it now.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
First question, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Yeah. Sleep schedule is totally messed up. I go to bed sometimes at 7 in.the.morning. So when the sun comes up and I hear the birds like really going at it, yeah, that's when I finally get to bed. But doing great.
And where are you right now?
Mississauga. I'm here like quarantining with my family, which I'm super thankful for. I probably would lose my mind if I was alone. And at least this way I get my dog. So I can't complain.
What does a typical day look like for you in the moment? Okay, so we know that the birds wake you up aggressively. What happens after that?
Okay, then I go to sleep, but then I'll like wake up. Let's say there's no interviews, there's no like immediate time sensitive work I have to do. Then I'm waking up at like 4 p.m., maybe 5 p.m. if I'm lucky, because I can truly just continuously sleep, which is like really bad. And what happens is I'll wake up even more tired than how I did going to bed. So I'll wake up though, I'll like get some snacks. Usually it's a good cinnamon toast crunch, kind of situation. Love that. Lots of Netflix, of course, binging, because that's what one does in quarantine. and video games as well. So it's a good combination. Like I have things to do, like piano, violin, I could draw. The opportunities are endless. Like
Uh, you play piano and violin. Can you just tell me a little bit about this? I didn't know this.
yeah, I've been playing piano since I was in grade 3. Yeah, like my first like artistic love was music. So when I was like 7, I went for piano lessons and I was like the bee's knees. I loved it. And in quarantine, I started picking up the violin because for my birthday, my dad bought me a violin, but
Nice.
I never got the opportunity to go sign up for classes, and especially now I can't. So I was like, why wait? I might as well like try. And with the internet, you could learn anything. So the opportunities are endless. So yeah.
Nice. That's wonderful. Are you finding it easier? I just need to stay on this music piece a little bit longer. Are you finding it easier to play the violin because you have the background in piano?
Yeah, oh, 100%. Because then I know how to like read music. Granted, violin is super hard though. It is not the same as pressing keys on a piano. But I don't think like even though like maybe one day I'll get really good at violin, nothing will ever take my love for playing piano. It's just like my go-to. So, yeah.
I feel like we might be kind of twinsies because I play piano too and I love it so much and it's such a joy in the pandemic. So nice to see that there's a soul twin here with the piano. Awesome. Let's move on to Never Have I Ever and representation. These are some heavy questions we got. First of all, you play Davy, an
Mhm.
Indian American high school student dealing with the death of her father, school life, and her relationship with her mother and cousin, and at the same time trying to figure out who you are and the kind of person you want to be. And you found this casting call on Twitter. I want to hear more about the experience of landing this role.
So technically, actually, my best friend found the casting call on Twitter, and she sent it to me. Like we got to give credit where credit's due, and she sent it to me, and she was like, "Hey, like let's do this. It's gonna be fun." And I remember being like really tired just from school because we were doing a play at the time. We were doing Chicago the musical, and on top of it, I was working on my portfolio for post secondary. So I was really like tired and ready to be like, I don't know. But I figured it would be fun for us to just do it just because, it'd be a fun way to hang out. And neither of us had like the intention of like, we need to do this to make sure that we get it 100%. Like, of course, we tried our best. It's not that we didn't try or anything, but the intention was honestly really just to hang out with one another because, that's what we do. And that's where it took off. We went to our library community center. We walked 5 minutes from our high school to the community center, went to the library, started filming after we figured out like what is it that they wanted exactly. And yeah, we just went back home. We edited the videos, sent them in, and it went from there.
That's really awesome. The fact that you didn't feel pressured probably helped a lot.
Yeah, it was just like with the intention of like, let's just have fun with one another. So we weren't overthinking, we were just truly doing what we thought was best.
Yeah, and being yourself, and that's the best way to be, I think.
Yeah.
So speaking of what the show is all about, it is loosely based on Mindy Kaling's high school experience. That's what I saw on the internets.
Mhm.
And Mindy Kaling, of course, is one of the great creators and awesome, awesome writer, actor, a lead. She's
Yeah.
fantastic. So tell me the process that you went through with Mindy and with others to get ready for this character.
Yeah, both Mindy and Lang Fisher, they both helped me out, get into the character of Davy and when it's loosely based. So when certain like scenes would happen that were directly related to their past and their lives, they totally gave me like their insight and how they felt. And that really helped me approach Davy. The biggest thing I was nervous about with like the role wasn't as much the comedy of it, but more like the deeper, sadder scenes because I've never had to act those out. Like I'm all about, going deep and having serious conversations, but that's just as me, not as another character, right? So that was the biggest hurdle that I had to jump over, and they were a big part of helping me through that. And also, what's great about like Minnie and Lang's writing is that they incorporate me into the character as well. Like we have Davy, of course, with Mindy and Lang's different, styles of writing and their experiences growing up. But I definitely think myself as Maitreyi Ramakrishnan contributed to Davy's sarcasm a lot. I don't think Davy was initially meant to be as sarcastic. I think that was a me contribution.
Well, you did good. You did so good because that feels like a really real character, a really rounded out character. So we are really thrilled, all of us who have watched it, and I know my colleagues who binged it with me. We are really thrilled to see you as a face of change for representation in film. I saw your piece with Hassan Minaj,
Hey.
and it was so great because he said the thing that he thought was most Asian was Harold and Kumar, and now we are in like a entirely different atmosphere, and it's so exciting.
Mhm.
And your coworkers too on the show are part of that movement as well. A shout out to your incredible co-actors.
Yeah.
What impact has the show had on you as you move through the world professionally and personally?
I realized like how normalized it was to not have representation. Like I realized how much I sort of just sucked it up that we didn't have that representation and that I didn't care. Now being in the industry and looking around me to realize that there's not enough, it makes me mad. And I'm like, wait, how was I not mad about this before? And it's because I was normalized to it. I just sort of accepted it. And I feel like that's the sad reality for a lot of different minorities that are underrepresented. You just get used to living in the shadows, which is extremely dangerous and it's not okay. So going forward, I want to make sure that, I can bring opportunities for other actors and actresses to come in to the industry from all backgrounds, all walks of life, because there's so many stories to be told. So I think overall, like my experience of going through this industry and realizing what's, you know, lacking, it makes me make a little list of what I need to do, like be that change that I want to see?
I would like to think that you are every night writing in a little representation burn book.
Oh yeah,
And
it's like a burn
yeah,
book. It's 100% a burn book, and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, 100.
All the barriers you're going to break in a little scrapbook. I think it's delightful. So, your experience on set, let's turn to that. What was the most valuable advice you received about being on set?
Being on set, let's see. Oh, I have like two really good ones. One's funny and one's like more serious, but the funny one is that don't like eat all the food that's on set. Like, don't worry about crafty, but I'm talking about like the dinner scenes, right? Like, for example, like the dosas that, Davy had when Ben comes over.
Yeah, yeah, I remember
So
that.
all of my crew and my cast would be like, hey, like, use the spit bucket, man. You're gonna feel sick. What did I do? Not use the spit bucket. I'm taking advantage of the food that I've got. So I realized looking back on the show, there's a lot of scenes where Davy's like snacking and it wasn't written. I just sort of did that. Like I was like, there's food. So I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, especially that baking scene with Eleanor, Fabiola,
Yep.
and Davy with Eleanor's mom. Davy's like totally eating cookie dough the entire time, and
Oh,
I that was me. Like I just decided. I remember director it was like, hey, like okay, position yourselves how you feel like your characters would. I instantly dashed to the cookie dough bowl. I was like, my spot right here. I will sit here. So that was that advice, not to eat like everything on set, which I guess I did not take. I did not take that advice. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day. It's exciting, It's exciting.
the food is
Real
there.
advice, though. Real advice would be for Mindy and Lang on the last day of filming and whatnot, last scene, everything, they told me the advice to stay authentic to who I am. Because, of course, acting, you're playing another character. You're basically a professional liar. But besides from acting, the acting part of it, there's so much more, right? As an actor, not acting as just a person, to just stay true to myself and stick to my own morals and stand up for what I believe in because it's made me this like come this far, right? And honestly, I'd rather just be myself, as cheesy as that sounds. Ugh, that sounds so cheesy. But I really just want to be myself and continue to grow, not stay the same person, but stay true to who I am so that I can keep growing in a path that's real to me. No?
We're going to talk a little bit more about you staying true to yourself and doing the things that make you feel really passionate. But for folks who are just tuning in, I just want to say hi and welcome. Canadian Women's Foundation. We're here speaking with Maitreyi Ramakrishnan from Never Have I Ever. I'm Andrea, and we're going to launch into this next question. What I love about, so you mentioned your co-workers, your two best friends on the show.
Yeah.
And what I love about Never Have I Ever is that it's not just about family or romance, it's also about friendship. And I felt like it was about a few things about being a friend, being a terrible friend, learning to be a better friend. What do you think of this show says about hashtag friend goals?
Honestly, like, yeah, gotta put it there. Yeah, no, I love the fact that the show focuses on, friendships and of course female friendships. You know, I realize like there's so much out there that depicts catty female
Mhm.
friendships. And I understand that, female friendships, any friendship, it's not all just peaches and cream. It's not all great. And that's what I sort of like about the show, that Davy does become a bad friend. And you're watching this and you're like, Davy, can you be better, please? Like, hello? Where's this disrespect coming from? Settle down. Rather than just being catty, and just overly over the top, unrealistically dramatic. But with Fabiola, Eleanor, and Davy, there's, even though Davy messes up and she messes up a lot, they do bond together always. Like in the end, they always have each other's backs. And whether it's Fabiola, seeking support from Eleanor, or Eleanor seeking support from like both their buddies, they really do have each other's backs. And I think that's important. Friends are really important. And constantly, I feel, can be overshadowed by romance. But I think, friendships can burn just as bright.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, I'm sure everybody asks you which boy is the boy that Davy's going to end up with. But for me, it's like, oh, these three girls better stay tight.
Yeah.
I better see them the whole way through this show.
Honestly, in season 2, I'm a firm believer. Davy still needs to make it up to those two. Davy, like, she barely, no. She played her Jedi mind tricks on them at the end there, but she needs to act up still. She needs to be better for them.
Yeah, she needs to be there for them, and I think both of those girls put up with a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love those guys as like co-stars, Lee and Ramona. They're such homies. They're like my best friends, and we like in set on when we're actually filming, we hang out like all the time and we make our jokes. But now that we're like apart, we have our little group chat, our side group chat called the UN. Yeah, we're just homies.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. Oh my goodness, that's the most exciting thing I think I'm going to hear all week. Oh, I love
We
that.
have a we have a plan already for our Halloween costume for
Nice.
this year, because of course you got to plan early for a Halloween costume.
Must.
As soon as it hits November 1st, start planning. But
Yeah, it's already too late.
exactly, we've already started planning, maybe doing a Powerpuff Girls kind of thing. Obviously, Ramona's gonna take Bubbles.
Oh
Lee's
yeah, for
gonna
sure.
take like we have a whole situation. I'm gonna be Buttercup. It's gonna be great.
Nice. Nice. I suggest as well Plan B, TLC. Just a thought. Just a thought. Yeah. Yeah. You just ruminate on that one.
Okay.
So your parents, let's switch to your family life. You are with your family right now in Mississauga. They immigrated from Sri Lanka and you were born and raised in Mississauga, Ontario. Shout out Mississauga. Yeah. In a recent interview, you said for a lot of South Asian youth, it's kind of hard to figure out what makes you South Asian enough. And I think that really resonated with me growing up in Canada. I came from an immigrant family. Shout out to all the Guyanese out there. Guyana. And I know it resonates with a bunch of people too, to hear that. I think we've all gone through that process in one way or another, those of us from immigrant families. Tell us how you've seen people deal with that process and what you think helps people find their way. And how about you? How are you finding your way?
Yeah, like I remember, it's a funny story. In grade 9, I was in my English class, and there's a couple of other like Tamil girls in that class as well. And I remember we were talking about like our moms and how, we have like guy friends. And I was like, "Oh, like so it was one girl, she says like, "Oh, my mom does not let me hang out with guys or like at all." And I'm like, "Oh, like my mom's pretty chill." Like she's like, "I get that. My mom's pretty chill though. She knows I do have a good amount of guy friends and she knows them from like, elementary. So she's cool with them coming over." And then this girl says, "Oh, but that's because your mom isn't as Tamil as mine."
Mm.
And I lost it. I was like, "Excuse me?" I totally cussed her out. I'm like, "Don't you dare say that about my mother. Hello? My mom
Yeah.
is just as Tamil as yours. Thank you very much."
Hmm.
What? And that idea of that checklist, that checklist of like, do you do this? Like, do you do Bharatanatyam? Do you speak another like language? Do you play this instrument? There's all these like different things, and it's like, and what if I don't? Like, am I less? And if I'm less, then what am I more of? And then you get obviously the coconut term. And my journey personally, when, I've been called a coconut a good share of my like life and whatnot, but my thing is that, you know what, sure, you can call me a coconut, but at the end of the day, not knowing how to speak Tamil for me personally, that doesn't make me feel any less Tamil. For me, being Tamil is so much more than the language, and I'm all about learning, but that's not the be all end all. I don't think that should be for anybody. There should be no one thing that is a must in order to be something, you know?
Yeah.
You're
I
entitled
think
to your identity.
you're speaking to this idea of resisting the box, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, I think for advice for other people who are struggling to figure out where they lie, within their identity and how to get there, I would tell them that you actually don't get there because it's a ever going on journey. You can't, one day like be like, "Okay, yeah, I'm done." Don't say that you're done. You're gonna have to keep having that battle. For Davy, when she's, you know, literally saying like, some days I'm too Indian, then some days I'm not Indian enough and I just want a donut. That in between feeling, you may always feel that. But as long as you're constantly embracing who you are, accept yourself for who you are, and continuously doing that throughout your life, you're gonna be okay. Because identity is ever evolving, right?
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that idea of feeling in between and feeling uncomfortable in your skin, it makes you sick. It makes you sad. It gives you too much pressure and it's just unfair.
Yeah. So first and foremost, you got to accept yourself. Like, who cares about what other people think if you don't accept yourself in the first place? It starts with yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sidebar, folks, for those of you who don't know, hi, I'm Andrea from Canadian Women's Foundation. I'm here with Maitreyi from Netflix, Never Have I Ever. And if you weren't aware what a coconut is, I just you use that term. A coconut is somebody who is brown on the inside, or brown on the outside and white on the inside. And
Yep.
it's either a dreaded or beloved term, depending on how you feel about it. It's something I've been called more than once. So I think that you're speaking to something here, particularly as well with respect to girls. You know, gender is one of the issues that we address. The main issue, gender equality, is a really important part of our work. It's not the only issue, but certainly very important. And young girls watching the show right now, what do you hope that they're going to absorb from that?
Honestly, I hope number one, they absorb like a realistic depiction of girls. Whether it's you can relate to Davy's personality, or maybe it's, Fabiola's or, Eleanor's, whatever character you can identify with, you feel that sense of like realistic identity,
Yeah.
But I also hope that girls take away just from the idea that, for example, aspiring actresses, that they can do this too, that they are also perfectly valid to be in an industry where you can be the lead, no matter what race you come from, you are equally as valid and you deserve that attention, whether you look at me and you feel that, or maybe you look at Mindy and you see that and you're like, I could even just create the show. I could write the show, right? I could be that writer that creates the next awesome big hit series. There's so much to take away from the show, but in general, for girls specifically, there's so much that we go through. And I think, like, when I was in high school and like in just, elementary, middle school, I knew the differences. I felt the differences between how my guy friends would be treated and how I would be treated. But I never really understood it until I got to the industry. And when I realized just straight up girls being overlooked just because they're a girl and they don't have something between their legs. Like, what the hell's that about? You know? So it's all about, yet again, with the female friendships, rising each other up rather than tearing each other down. Yeah, there's a lot to take away. I could go on about
Oh,
that. On and on, on and on.
getting deep here. I really appreciate the things that you're saying. I'm really feeling it and I love it. And I think you're speaking to this idea of representation behind the screen as much as in front of the screen. So I'm thinking about behind the screen. What kind of barriers would you like to see broken there?
Behind the screen. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So as much as I love Never Have I Ever to impact, all people around the world to realize that they can do this too, I want the producers, this like screen like writers, everybody, the directors, everyone in production of all shows to realize diversity, realistic representation of, underrepresented minorities will not set your show back. Like I cannot say that in such a more serious tone. That we're not going to set you back. We're not going to put your ratings down, okay? Because I have the numbers. Like I rarely flex, the numbers or like the ratings of it. But when I need to, I will. And this is like
Mm-hmm.
one of those situations. And we have the numbers. We're a hit. And we had realistic representation of all different backgrounds, of all different identities. And reality is Never Have I Ever has room to improve too. We can keep going. We're not the end goal. We shouldn't be the highest standard.
Yep.
We should still be going even higher, right? So if one director or one producer, scriptwriter, any big names out there realize this and they see that they can do this too, they can add this to their show, that'd be awesome because that's how different opportunities come for those artists. That's the kind of change I hope that our behind the scenes does. I think Mindy constantly does that every day with
Yes.
all that she does. She's a powerhouse of doing everything. So big props to her.
Mm-hmm. And I think, we're in this place now where we can start telling our own stories. So don't wait to get in. Tell
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're going to move on to some personal questions. I mean, I think we were already getting pretty personal, so let's just continue along those lines. What stands out to you as the most memorable experience on the show so far?
While filming?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's so much. There's so much. I don't think I'll ever forget waking up at like 4 a.m. to start traveling at 5 to make it to Malibu Beach. That was I'm not a morning person. I don't like the sun. So that was woo fun. There's so many different moments though between filming at, a high school in the valley where it's super hot while wearing a half sari made out of three different sari materials. That was also fun. I don't know why. Yeah, all my memorable experiences are when it was just really, really hot, sweaty, and early in the morning, and I was tired. Ugh. But obviously, there's a bunch of good food memories. Mindy likes
Mm.
to bring food trucks like almost every week.
Ooh,
So, yeah,
I
I
love
really
it.
enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. That's a good memory. Oh, yeah,
Wow, she treats you folks well.
she does. She really does.
I love it. You spoke to snacks. Tell me about a snack that you're going to at the end of this go and have.
Depends on what my mom let us have because my mom's like, no, we're not having like chips. No, like, let me tell you, no, let me tell you, getting that cinnamon toast crunch box into the house was a campaign. That was a campaign, okay? Like that took effort. So I think realistically, there is chips upstairs. They're like the kettle corn kind of
Oh,
chips.
nice.
Like I don't mind those. It's not like Lay's original, but they're good. So
You know
I'll keep
what? Kettle chips are they're really they're thick. They're a
this.
substantive chip, is what they are.
Exactly. Like I feel
Yeah,
like I'm getting my bites worth. So there's
that's
that.
right.
I think
One
that's
chip equals three.
exactly, exactly. So
Yeah. Okay, good choice. That was not on the list of questions. I just wanted to know as we were talking food. So the show was released on Netflix really recently. It doesn't feel like it was this recent, but it was April 27th. What was it like of launching a show when you couldn't leave the house?
well, it hit April like 27, like it was 12, and it was like the most anticlimactic thing. I think what happened was me and Jaron Lewison, Ben Gross, we're on FaceTime and it's like 11:57. Like we're counting down the last 3 minutes because we get to like post about it,
Yes.
you know? And I think for the last minute, me and him both got like really like excited. And then as soon as it hit 12, we were like, okay, well, yeah. Woo! It was an interesting experience, but honestly, like I can't complain. Like, reality is like sure with COVID, everybody's at home, everybody's quarantining, watching Netflix, and they're trying to get through every single show that they possibly can. So we definitely got a lot of people watching because of that. But at the
Mhm.
same time, for me, it's like, hey, like what matters is people being able to see the show. And what matters the most for me is that we get a season two to help grow the show, to help become even better as a show. And then eventually that's when we can have that, in-person premiere where I dress up and maybe I go onto the red carpet with like sweats. Like, I don't
Nice.
know.
Nice. Yeah,
But
shake it up. That
yeah,
red carpet needs some shaking up.
see where the wind takes me. Like, who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Where the mood is. So, what projects do you want to pursue as your career grows? You talk about a second season, maybe there'll be more seasons, but beyond that, what things are you really looking forward to exploring?
Honestly, so like I've thought about this, like I've given it a lot of thought, and I like a lot of different genres because on one hand, I love The Office, my favorite show of all time. And then there's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Community, Parks and Rec, like all these great comedic shows. But then on the other hand, like we look at movies, and my favorite movies are like Us, Get Out,
Mhm.
Parasite, and they're more on like the darker side. I'm a sucker for like a thriller. Recently in quarantine, um, especially true like crime, like docudramas as well. I went on a straight binge of Surviving R. Kelly to
Mhm.
Leaving Neverland, but part one, part two, with the Oprah, behind the scenes, and then on top of it, Jeffrey Epstein's documentary as well, because I'm all about staying informed and I like I like absorbing information that way. So there's a lot that I like, Obviously, then there's the side of me that like loves Marvel and superheroes. So it's hard to pick. So I realized the thing that I really do like though is making memorable content. Not taking on projects that when you walk away you're like, wait, what was that character's name? Like, what was what happened there? And be a part of projects that have truth to it. They send off a message that they're making you walk away from the theater, walk away from your couch at home with an idea that maybe you didn't have before. Maybe you're reflecting on your own moral compass, on, society itself. You're changing the way that you think and you're questioning yourself, which is good. I think it's good to have those conversations, whether it's dark, Black Mirror style, or it's happy, I love Black Mirror as well.
All those shows you named are great in their own way, and it kind of reminded me there of the way Jordan Peele, his career has been going forward. He's been looking at the comedy side of things, and it's actually a close mirror to the horror side of things, but speaking to the social commentary as well too. So yeah, it
Yeah.
really it's a genre crossing approach is what I'm hearing from you.
And like, why would I want to stick to one genre? Like, psh, just do it all, right? Like, why not? And
That's
of
right.
course, importantly, taking on proper roles with substance to give that, to tell more stories and make more characters South Asian. Maybe the character wasn't originally written as South Asian, but now that I take that role, boom, now she's a South Asian character. Maybe we don't need to talk about it, like, put like this weird light, like, oh my God, but by the way, she's South Asian and, she does this. It's like, no, she's just a cool girl that's happens to be South Asian.
One of the things that is really annoying is watching shows where it's like the person, the whole show is just exploring why am I South Asian, or why
Yeah.
am I Kenyan, or why am I just be. You're fine, just be.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of shows just out there, and when it comes to like a culturally like diverse character, everybody's like, "Oh, like it's going to talk about that now." And it's like, "No. No, we have the ability to just be funny or just be serious or just be a villain or just be a superhero. It's okay."
Nice. People I'm sure are reaching out to you all the time and saying stuff like this, saying like what the show is meaning for them. And tell us one of the messages that really stood out for you. Somebody was like, this has meant this to me.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's really a lot, and I try to keep up with them all. I try my best. And even if I like don't respond to them all, I always make sure like I do read them, and it does mean the world to me. And there's a lot. Whether it's people saying like thank you for, bringing the show to light. It's awesome to just see a South Asian girl. I'm like, no worries. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you for supporting the show because I can't do what I do if you don't give me that support. So thank you for that. But then there's also some people saying like, thank you so much for doing this because this is directly how I felt when my parent passed away. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, that's heavy, you know? But there's so much to relate to just within Davy's character, let alone the entire cast of characters. But there's so much relatability that's going around. And another comment that I like to see is when, like it's not actually really a comment, but as per more just somebody saying, "Oh, like Davy isn't really like me. I'm not really like Davy," and they might say it in like a way of like, "Oh, like I'm disappointed. I wish this show was more like me." And I look at that and I'm like, "Yeah, no hate to you, man. Like I'm not upset with that. I get that. I'm not like Davy personally. Like I like to think she's a little bit more dramatic than I was in high school. Like damn. Damn. But I get that. I understand their frustration because how possibly can you look at one character and find, all representation within that one character? But also we got to bring to light more characters, more stories so that everybody has somebody. Because for
That's right.
so long white people have all the characters to relate to of all different personalities, of all different situations. So how come we don't have that for other minorities?
This is just woven through and through in what you're saying. You speak out about all kinds of important issues, not just the arts. You've also spoken out to ending anti-racism at large, speaking to particularly ending anti-Black racism, and also things like public education funding. You've just said a lot of things and used your platform. Why is it important for you to use your platform for social change?
It's so important because I look okay, like a year ago. I think today, my best friend actually sent me a picture. I think today marks the day the announcement came out, like the initial like deadline announcement that I got casted for the role. So it's been a year now. Woo. But before that, I was just, a regular high school student. And between me and like my group of friends, we like to speak out about these issues. We like to talk about these issues and do something. Before the audition was even talked about on Twitter, me and my friends, we organized, a student walkout to protest against cuts to public education because that's something that mattered to us. Granted, I did not have a million followers on Instagram. I only had like whatever amount I did, but we're still speaking out. Now I know so many of my friends, so many of the people that I look up to just within my friend circle, they would love to have a platform to speak out, right? And now I have that. Like it was basically I asked for, hey, can I have a way to contact everybody? I remember during the student walkout, I called a bunch of different like reporters saying, we're at Streetsville. We're doing the student walkout. Do you wanna like report like record us? Like maybe like do a story on us? Like you can interview us. And they were like, okay,
Who's
sure.
this?
Yeah, basically. But I tried like everybody and I got a couple people. But now I can do that with just the click of a post. So wouldn't I speak out about these issues when it's so easy to, for me at least? When somebody says like, "Oh, thank you for doing this, thank you for speaking out," it's sort of weird because I shouldn't be thanked for understanding that we need change. Just the idea that we're so shocked about a whole revolution happening at this point in time. I think about that and I'm like, why are we shocked about it? So much has happened, so much injustice has happened all over the world. We should not be shocked. We should be shocked that it took this long to happen, not that it is happening. That's where the conversation should begin, right there. Why did we wait this long? And now that we're here, let's do something about it. So if that means that just by the click of hitting a repost or just copy and pasting a link to share and educate my followers, which I think is the most important thing, educating yourself first. I like to make sure that I read every single article before I share it out rather than just a quick repost, because that's a big pet peeve of mine. You've got to educate yourself first before you educate others to make sure you're seeing the right information, but also you're staying aware yourself. If I can do that so easily, why the hell wouldn't I? That was a whole rant. So sorry, Andrea.
No, you can rant. You can rant about that. That's, I think, what we need to hear more people ranting on. Yes. Like, I mean, anybody who's saying that, it's too much right now and I'm just sick of it. And excuse you, we need to do more of this. Yeah. This is where it starts. So your rants are my food. Thank you for that. Okay, we are moving into our lightning round. Oh my goodness, the time is flying so fast because you're awesome to talk to. Just really glad to have this beautiful conversation. So I'm going to ask questions really quickly and you just answer top of your head, top of mind. First one. First one. Who makes you laugh the hardest in your life?
Steve Carell. He's not in my life, but he's on my laptop screen in the office. Steve Carell.
He's in your life. Your dream acting role?
A superhero. No, anti-hero. No, I don't want to be a superhero. I want to be an anti-hero. Take justice into my own hands.
Anybody in particular?
I like Deadpool. In high school, I always related to Deadpool. Of course, Ryan Reynolds, Canadian fam, let's go. But Deadpool. Deadpool's my kind of attitude.
You would be a great Deadpool. Dream collab?
Dream collab? Probably Steve Carell. Would be amazing. I have a vision that one day we do an hour-long improv. It's just film the whole thing and that's it.
Okay, I'll tune into that. 3 famous people in your pandemic isolation household.
My brother. He's what I like to call a basement musician. He only plays music in the basement. He's a wicked guitarist. My grandma, she's basically a professional chef because she always cooks good food. And of course, number 1, Melody. She's actually the biggest star in my household. She's my dog, Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. She's the famous MR, not Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. It's Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. That's
nice. I said famous people, but you know what? I liked your answer.
What do you mean? They're so famous. What are you talking about?
They're totally famous. So come on. Yeah. Your reality show, what would it be called and what would it be about?
Oh my God, what would it be called? Oh my God, it would be called I don't know. It would just be untitled. It would always be untitled. And not because it's quirky or whatever. No, it was just because I didn't make a decision on what it would be called. So we would just leave it. And then my first thought would be a cooking show where I don't cook. Because I can't cook at all. I can't cook. It's really bad. My friends cook for me and bring food to me to make sure that I eat. But it would just be me taking on recipes, trying, and just trying really hard, but it's not going to turn out well.
But perhaps failing. I think it's very endearing. I like that idea.
Wholesome.
Okay, we just got, this is actually real question. We just got a TikTok channel at the Canadian Women's Foundation. We're scared. What is the best thing that so scared of it? Everyone is scared of it because we don't know what we're doing. What's the best thing you've seen on TikTok recently? And just give us ideas. And I'm just going to quietly write down.
It depends. There's different sides of TikTok. There's
okay, please tell me. How does it work?
Have you heard about the different sides of TikTok?
I don't know the different sides of TikTok. You need to educate me here.
Andrew, there's so much. There's so much. You can obviously do a good old POV video. POVs are good. I've seen there's like a bunch of different TikToks. There's like funny ones, okay? There's like just funny ones. Of course, there's like the infamous dance ones that everybody knows,
Yes,
right?
I
For
know
me,
that.
I'm on alternative TikTok. That's where I get all my jokes. That's where I like, I like to be on TikTok. But then there's like some more serious ones that a lot of Gen Zs make for bringing awareness. So you can always
Mm.
do that. The Canadian Women's Foundation could totally do that. I've seen a couple talking about, I think one really cool one that I recently saw was this girl. She did a POV video of her on the phone with a friend. It was like POV, you're FaceTiming me. And then during her FaceTime, she does that signal. And I'm like, yes, that is cool. So you can do that.
Oh my gosh.
You can totally do that.
That's our campaign. I'm
Yes,
so
exactly.
thrilled you saw
Yeah,
that.
no, it was just, and it wasn't like the Canadian Women's Foundation, like anything, like anybody associated with it. It was just a random girl who was like, I know this. And then it was at the end wrote, share this, like spread it along. So
Nice.
there you
Nice.
go.
Okay, so I need to pause the lightning round to tell you what I wrote down. Point of view, funny, dance, alternative, serious Gen Z.
Good job. You basically got
Thanks.
it. You basically
Thanks.
got it.
Okay, lightning round resumed. Describe yourself only with a sound effect.
Me. Yeah, that was my first thought. Me.
Epic. Okay. Describe your career only using a sound effect.
That's pretty accurate. I think that's pretty accurate.
That is absolutely accurate. What's your best word or your favorite word?
Oh my God, words are awesome. There's a lot. Right off the top of my head, epiphany. I think it's great. Whenever you can put that into a regular sentence, just totally calmly, like, yeah, I just had an epiphany. It's like, oh, wow, you got my attention. I don't know, epiphany.
Nice. Worst word.
Moist. I know a
Nobody
lot of
likes
people
that
say that.
word.
No, I know a lot of people say that, but it's like so true. It's
It feels what it is in your
yeah.
mouth. Moist. Yeah. Best catchphrase.
Respect existence or expect resistance. That's the phrase I like.
I like it. Worst catchphrase.
There's no worst catchphrase. All catchphrases are good. They're catchphrases for a reason, right?
I
Right?
guess.
Are there any bad catchphrases?
I need to think about that. I don't even know the answer to that.
Anything ignorant. Don't say anything
Yes,
ignorant. There we
ignorant
go. You
things.
know what? Now that I can think of some lovely, dumb, ignorant statements that have been said, and I won't say them because they're just so ignorant.
Yes, and we don't want to promote them. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the question. This is the question that you are getting asked all the time. Team Paxton or Team Ben?
Team Davy. That's how it is.
Best answer ever.
That's how it is. Like it's Team Davy. She has work to do on herself first, you know?
That's right.
And also, we have an obsession. I realized this, especially after being in a show. We have an obsession with pairing people together.
Yes.
And it's like, why don't we promote, you know, just friendship, friendship, or not even friendship, but self-love, self-love for ourselves first, and then fall into a relationship. But knowing Davy, that's who knows what she's gonna do. Like,
You're so proactively disappointed in Davy.
I truly am. It's the best when the cast gets a script for the next episode and we all do a table read of it.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh, girl, why are you doing this, man?
Bye. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. Team Davy, and then second, Team UN, and then no other teams.
Well, you can do Team Nalini and Mohan. Of course,
Okay.
Mohan's dead, but like, how can you not? Like, for a character that's dead the entire series, that is such a wholesome relationship. I'm like, damn, man, can you just like resurrect yourself, please?
It's a beautiful relationship of showing how a daughter and dad can be aligned. I really like that part about it.
Yeah.
All right, we have some questions from the audience, and thanks, folks, for sending your excellent questions in. I have one from Jamie. Jamie wants to know, what advice would you give to others who want to become actors?
Hi, Jamie. Hello, hello, hello. Advice I would give you is that your time is gonna come. Like, if you want to be an actor, do everything you possibly can each and every day, and then push it a little bit further. Every single day, just push it a little bit further. Do something that you wouldn't do normally, you know? A lot of the times I notice some people will say, like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's too like low key. That's not a big gig. Who cares? You have to start somewhere. If I had that mentality of like, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just high school theater, I wouldn't be where I am today. So don't underestimate the value of just getting yourself out there and pushing it a little bit further each and every day, because your time will come. Maybe not the same way that it happened to me or happened to the other guy or the next guy, but it'll definitely happen in its own time for you.
That's really lovely. Emma asks, was there a scene from Never Have I Ever that got hard to get through because of laughter?
Okay, Emma, any scene that had Lee Rodriguez in it, that was just hard. So the biggest one that I can think of right now is the punch bowl scene where Davy spills the whole bowl onto Fabiola. We had to make sure we only had like I think three bowls or like three outfits of the white suit. So we had to nail it. And there was a certain way I had to like toss it onto her, but we would keep her in her soaked suit and we would have to go through the rest of it, and her saying like, you made me come out to my whole class, and she would always just break down. I She would just stare at my face and laugh. I would stare at her face and laugh. Nothing funny would happen. It would be a very serious scene. So anything with her.
Okay, I gotcha. You're just making each other's laugh just by existing. We've been there. We've all been
Honestly,
there.
exactly. Just her existence brings me joy.
So Angel asks, did you take drama classes in high school?
Hi, Angel. Hello. Yeah, I did, but for my school at least, in grade 9 and 10, you need a prerequisite from those first classes to do 11 and 12. Now, in grade 10, I didn't take drama, and in grade 9, I didn't take drama. So I didn't have a prerequisite. But my drama teacher was awesome, and I did the school musical that year. So she knew I was really dedicated, and she put me into drama classes for grade 11 and 12, which made me drop French. So my French teacher is pretty upset about that. I love Miss Shaw. Shout out to Miss Shaw. But Miss Gibbons, my drama teacher, put me in grade 11 and 12 drama, which was awesome. But you don't need drama classes. Yet again, going back to what I said before in that first question, do whatever you can. Maybe you don't take drama classes. That's cool. Do after school theater. Anybody can audition for that.
You keep skipping over this point, and I just need to come right back to it. You're talking about musicals, Chicago, and then you're talking about this musicals. Do you sing?
Yeah. That was the most, yeah.
Are you embarrassed about singing at all?
No. It was just I realized that I didn't say that, so I'm like, oh, my
That's
bad.
awesome.
Yeah. In grade 10, my first ever drama performance, I played Erlene, who is one of the comedic sidekicks of Ariel, the female lead. So I did some singing there. And then by grade 12, that was my first lead role. I played Velma Kelly in Chicago. So, woo! Taking on Catherine Zeta-Jones's shoes.
That's amazing. Did you have to dance as well too?
Yes, all the dancing, all the
Wow.
bossy. I can't do it alone. That was my favorite number because it was the hardest to do. But once I nailed it with also singing at the same time and dropping to the floor and everything, we were
Good for
good.
you. Chef's kiss. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What I love about musicals is when you're done, you get to do this,
Yeah.
do your pose and then breathe hard. So
Exactly. You
awesome.
can finally breathe. Breathe like a normal person who just did whatever they did, because apparently musical characters have the lung capacity of like, do elephants have a big lung capacity? I don't know an animal that has a big lung capacity. I don't know.
Oh, okay. We just have time for a couple more questions. This is a really good question. We need to ask this. Did you watch Never Have I Ever with your family? And if so, were there any awkward scenes?
Okay, so yes, I did watch Never Have I Ever with my family. For the beginning of filming, my mom was there actually, and then for the second half of filming, my dad was there. So they actually like knew the story. They sort of knew what to expect. Every time I was on set, they were always like watching me. So my grandma was actually also watching though when it actually came out when we were at home. And my grandma, I love her so much. There was really no ever awkward times for me personally. My grandma though is Team Ben. She's a proud Team Ben supporter, while my brother is a proud Team Paxton supporter. They go at it, and I just sit in the corner and I say Team Davy. Nobody wants to listen to me, so who cares?
I don't blame them. I mean, it starts getting you into it and you start thinking things that you know you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's like they'll be like, yeah, we know, but
Yes, that's
we
right.
know
Feminism, but
keep talking about that, but I feel like that's all the fans. Like they all know I'm Team Davy, and they're all like, yeah. Like we know Maitreyi. Thank you. But
oh my goodness. So on that note, we are almost at the end of our time. I just need to thank you so much for joining us
this has
today
been
and
fun.
many congratulations for your incredible early success.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Andrea.
And thank you for just opening up your heart to us, just being so honest, not just here, but every time I see you online, I get a really honest sense of who you are. And the fact that you are just speaking about these issues that continue to plague us, and we have to do something about it. It's not even
Yeah,
a question.
yeah, it's not.
I'm so glad that you're doing all that you can in your sphere of influence. So our heart goes out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Folks, I just want to thank you as well for joining us today at the Canadian Women's Foundation. I'll tell you a little bit about this. We build gender equality and we support these programs all over Canada to work with diverse women, girls, and communities. These efforts, of course, right now are proving more and more important than ever. In this pandemic, we don't want things to go back to the way they were or even be worse than the way they were. We want them to get better for everyone. And we know that when women and girls thrive, everyone thrives. This is the research says this all around. Women and girls do well, we're all doing well. So we're raising funds for women and girls in the pandemic and to make sure that the grassroots programs that are tailored to them can continue being there for them just through this pandemic and then also beyond, because the needs are so big these days. So please give to our Tireless Together Emergency Fund. It'll make sure that women and girls get what they need in the pandemic and that the services can continue into the future. If you're able, you can always give to us. There's a donate button here on this Facebook Live, and you can also go to canadianwomen.org and give there. As I said before, every dollar counts and will make a difference in this challenging time. So everyone have a great day and please be safe, be well. Thank you so much to our wonderful guests and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.